Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star. It's Saturday night, and when all three of us are here, we don't generally play Traveller, but we are tonight. And we are tired, Spez. It's been an eventful day. I started the day by putting a bit of Just for Men in my beard because it was getting a little bit too grey. So it's just a little bit, not too much. I don't want to be like a big black beard character. Just a little bit to spice things up a bit. That's how my day started. We'll find out how the other 2 days started when we get to them in a minute. But yeah, we all did our own thing. We all got a bit of drinking happening separately with ourselves. We spent times with families of different types, our own personal families. We didn't just go with other people's families. We all had a bit of time with our loved ones today, and I think it was a wonderful day. But the day's just finishing on such a high note now because we're here with you, our friends, with you, Spez especially, and anyone else watching. We're here with each other, which always brings ourselves joy. And we're here with some of our most favourite PCs and NPCs in our whole lives to play a little bit more Traveller. It's not going to be a long session tonight. I'd say it's more like an episode 2 part B. We left it on a bit of a cliffhanger in a new planet, and it'll be nice to explore it a little bit more, get the lie of the land. He is very rebellious, Spez. You need to have a serious word with him afterwards. He just didn't get the memo. He trims it off too often for my liking. Make a decision. Pick a side and stick with it. I'll do what that Italian high jumper doesn't do, a half and half.
What can I tell you? You know, I'm one of those nations who decides which side to come in on a war when I can clearly see who's winning.
But judge the room.
That's the nicer way of putting it.
So it won't be long tonight, but hopefully it'll be fun. Feel free to chat, feel free to lurk. If it's your first time, you're very, very, very welcome, of course. If you're a regular like Spez, you're very welcome too. If you've been here once or twice, thank you for coming back. Click the red sun to spend some points. The points are all there from last night. I don't know if Blurp has come in. Let's find out. Are you working? Yes! It's in. Blurp is on. That belted out some Arnie in my ears. I don't know why I'd get to the choppers on, to be honest, but it is, and that's the main thing. So feel free to spend some points. The expensive ones will make a change to things. So you can give us a boon. You can name some characters. Give us a minute of wisdom. Oh, here we go. This is a very important one. The guns come up. Whoa, I couldn't pull up. My guns are so tight, I can't pull my shirt up. And luckily it cancelled out the lizards, which Ewan tried to trick onto me because it's terrifying in my headphones. But thanks, and nicely done to you as well. This Sparrow's on, by the way. Before we keep going, this is my favourite one, just because it's the Beastie Boys. We have to play it so that we don't get any money. Oh, that one's not working. It's a little bit. Oh dear, Blurp's being a bit.
It is fickle, is what it is.
Fickle too, right? Fickle, good word. Blurp is being fickle tonight. So some's working, some's not. Don't waste your money. Save it. Just don't even bother. You might as well go. There's no point. What's the purpose of life anyway? Anyway, I suppose we might as well continue. We're playing Traveller. My name's Luke. I play the see that screen there? The person doesn't keep changing. I play the 2 women there. That's Kara. That's Soraya. Kara on the left. She's an artist. She's a hacker. She's a carouser. She likes to shove small guns in Stefan's belly. To the right is Soraya. She likes cheesy balls. She likes mimosas, and she likes explosives. And those are my 2 characters. They get to jet around the universe with many people, but among them are their 2 favourite people. And their 2 favourite people played by the man below me, who, perfectly for this situation, is one of my all-time favourite people. He is my brother from another mother. He's the housewife's favourite. He's the Floofmeister General. He is the wonderful Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Hello, Luke. I'm very good, thanks. I'm very good. I'm excited to be on a new planet. Not me, but in-game.
God, what a swerve that would be.
No, it would be.
Very, very good Wi-Fi.
I feel, I feel as though we would deserve more viewers if that was true.
I think so.
Yeah, it'd be a more monumentous stream, I feel. But hey, Maybe one day.
Put out the word. Maybe one day. Before you say anything, Spurs has suggested we are in fist bump territory, so I feel it'd be remiss of us to
not.
Yeah, are we there? You were there. Yes, sweet. Ian, tell us about your two wonderful characters that you play as in this wonderful tale.
Oh, do I have to? I preferred it when Ben did it.
Well, we can do that.
It gives you like no, it's fine. He did it yesterday, but it gives me like a nice insight as to how others perceive my characters, which I think is quite interesting, to be honest. I'm not sure what I learned last night, to be honest, but I do play two characters. I play Stefan Miller, who is a human, sneaky space rogue, quite dexterous, enjoys the occasional backflip. And is Soraya's bestie. I'm going to say they're best buds.
Oh, you say that.
Well, I will. For now, we'll see what happens. See what happens later. I also play Agnar Arnson, who is our considerably more floofy Varga, former military general. He is the medic and the de facto daddy for the crew. He quite likes to spring for brunch every now and then, although he's running a bit low on funds, it must be said.
Oh yeah, don't give us that sub story. I'm sure he's
got three credits left.
Oh, that's
not
still
true.
savage.
It's definitely not true. But you know, he enjoys it. He likes treating everyone to some mimosas and some cheesy balls.
Oh, and to be honest, I feel like one of our episode titles has to involve de facto daddy from now on. Now, perfect. I love it. Now, if the group of the three of us had a de facto daddy, well, it would be this man at the bottom, because he brings many fatherly qualities. You see, he's the smartest man in any room. He shouts at us when we ask if we're there yet, and he tells us to wait until our mother gets home very often. He is the wonderful. He's the belle of the ball. He's the lord of the feast. He is the king of the hop festival. He is the magnificent Ben. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
Well, as you say, the hop festival is way too loud. All of the music sounds the same. What can I tell you?
Oh, that's because you don't get it. Not like us youthful types.
Yes, I'm well, thank you. Very well. And quite excited actually to have a new world to play with.
Oh, it's exciting. I love a new world. It feels like a fresh playground. To hear you talk. Spez mentioned it yesterday as well. I think that you describe things so well, and I think it's really refreshing. It's nice to go back, isn't it? I think when we've gone back to old worlds, there's something warming about it, like when we've gone back to Geek or something. But there is something, or like Austin. You know, even just going back to that bar after all that time we've not been there, lovely. But there is something exciting about a new world, I think. What's your plan?
Sure.
What's your first plan, Ian? What do you want to do when we've got a new world? What are you excited
on the new
about?
world?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
It depends on the world, I think. This one, I'm super excited to find out all of the laws and the things that we're not allowed to do and the things that would possibly get us into trouble. So we can avoid them, obviously.
Oh, too late. I think Stefan's already breaking about 3 of them. I think.
He's got no choice.
Well, I guess we'll see how that all turns out, Ben. Would you like to lead us on our merry way?
Absolutely. So, our heroes have arrived at a world they've never visited before. In case that seems par for the course for Traveller, I should point out that the last time that happened was their first visit to Geeka.
Oh, great.
The time when they went to Earth Park, not their second visit with the Pelago race and the Battle of Harrenhal. Some of you may be too young to remember those days. So the lucky world is Darkmoon, so named because it's neither a moon nor dark, though there is a Darkmoon not very far away. Darkmoon is a pretty uninviting place, especially because its starport facilities are very basic and there's no gas giant for refueling a ship, so the starport is all there is. Or that would be true if not for the fact that the world, mostly covered with water and large polar ice caps, has some tiny islands scattered around it and one city. The shockingly named Darkmoon City is a floating city, but almost all of it is underwater. Like a giant ice cream cone point down in the ocean, it has 1 million inhabitants, and its hollow centre provides docking space for small ships and shuttles. Vast cables anchor it to the South Polar Cap, important because the dense atmosphere is beset with strong winds, hurricanes, waves up to 100 meters high, and rain that arrives sideways at 100 kilometers per hour. A place perhaps worth seeing up close, if not for the local authorities. Darkmoon is a very tightly controlled place. The police are everywhere, and if you don't see a policeman, it isn't because there isn't one there, it's because the one who's there is a secret policeman. The travellers have decided this is a good stopping off point for the mighty Deep Night Revelation Star Cruiser as it begins its epic journey. They need to refuel, make sure the locals are ready for the revelation, and, if there's time, sell some pharmaceuticals and maybe do a bit of overthrowing the government, I'm guessing. They stepped aboard the space station and were immediately confronted with 2 pairs of armed guards, something that hardly seems fair, since there's an outright ban on civilians carrying even a paper knife. And that is where we resume the story.
Agner, did you leave the paper knife on the ship?
Yeah, of course I did. I left it
Grief, I don't want to get in trouble.
right next to the Moat Vegs, just in case
Good.
they need opening in an emergency.
Thank goodness for that. I was a bit worried about that. I've heard we're not allowed anything, even a paper knife. I've heard. So
why wouldn't we be allowed a paper knife?
that's against the rules.
It doesn't make sense.
Have you not heard the rules?
It doesn't make sense. No, what are the rules?
Well, there's number 1, no carrying of any weapon or unneeded tool. She'll sort of slap Stefan's belly as she does it. Number 2, something about permits. Number 3, no armor. Number 4, no smiling.
Oh well, that's easy for me.
I don't know. It looks like you're smiling the whole time at the minute.
What? Do you think that's against the law? Will I get in trouble?
I think clowns are
I'll
against
ask
the law.
them.
Ask them. You go ask them.
Not right now, not by myself.
The guards are both pairs, one each side of you on the docking ring, are looking in vaguely your direction, but the dark visors they wear make it impossible to see if they're glaring at you or looking idly or bored, or for that matter, have their eyes closed.
What do you think?
Should we?
Do you think they got their eyes closed? Should we throw something and see?
I don't think it's a good idea to start off by throwing things at the guards, unless of course it's a paper knife that you're handing over because you brought it along by accident. In which case, it's probably okay.
I don't know. They'd take it. Throwing a knife at them would go down well. I don't know. Do we need to approach them? Are they just there to keep the peace? Do we just need to walk to the exit? Should we just walk past them and see what they do? Or do you want to introduce yourselves? I don't know if do you know who I am holds much weight here.
No, I don't think that's the best approach necessarily.
I guess we've got to get some.
I'm sure once we start walking and not just standing here awkwardly, then maybe they'll let us know what we need to do, or not. In which case, we just carry on walking.
You should lean on. Go for it. You're the most. You're the de facto daddy.
I am the best walker. That's true.
You certainly are. It's in the hips.
It's all in the tail, as he says as he strolls off and starts swishing the tail behind him.
Okay, you stride towards them. As you get a little bit closer, you can pretty easily see that the pair of guards you're walking towards is there for a very specific reason. There is a door behind them, and that door has written on it immigration, customs, get permits ready.
Oh.
Agner will stop and turn around and walk back to Kara. Kara, do we have our permits? Did you do them?
I thought
I'm sure I asked.
I thought you were supposed to do it. It
No.
takes like a fortnight for them to come through.
This is like a
Oh,
this is
embarrassing.
like a technical thing. I'm sure they're all online. It's a computer thing, and computer things are your remit.
Yeah, but it's always like I've travelled. It's always daddy's thing to make sure everyone's got their passports and their permits with them and stress about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Why don't you ask?
Should we do it together?
Yeah, sure, go for it. I'll be right behind you.
Okay, and he'll turn around and start walking off, swishing the tail in the direction of the guards and approach.
Okay. They don't seem to move much. Maybe a slight shifting of position as you walk towards them. And when you get really very close, one just puts out a hand and says, "Identification."
Yes, of course, and he'll search around for his. I assume it's the on our personal devices.
Yes.
The usual. He'll hand it over. There we are.
He glances at it, as far as you can tell. But once again, because of the face mask, you can't easily tell when he's looking at the screen and when he's looking at you. And he therefore seems to stare for quite a long time. And then he says, "General Arnson, welcome to the station."
Thank you very much. A brief question, if I may, about permits. It's our first visit here.
Okay.
What is required?
You need a permit for every area once you get past the customs desk.
Ah, I see. For access.
If you're caught in an area for which your permit does not permit you, then it's an offence.
Yes, of course. And the customs desk will provide permits for the areas which we are allowed in.
The customs desk can act as a permit office, and there's a permit office on the 1st and 10th levels of the city.
Wonderful. That's very helpful. Thank you.
He lowers his hand and hands you back your credentials.
Agnar will take them. Is it obvious which way to go from here?
Yeah, straight through the door behind him.
Okay, cool, perfect. Agnar will proceed through the door.
Excuse me, my good man. Excuse me. This is Kara, by the way. My name's Kara. Hello, Kara Lasker here. I just had a question, if I may. I appreciate that anything on our ship is down to us, as long as it doesn't encroach upon the laws and the place on the planet. Correct? So that's as long as nothing goes against, as things should be here.
When you docked at the ship, your ship was anchored.
Yes.
And cannot leave without permission.
Perfect.
Additionally, it is routine that your ship will be searched before departure in case of stowaways or people trying to sneak off world to avoid justice.
That's fine. We wouldn't want people to miss out on the justice they deserve. Do you? We carry goods and stock and so on and so on. Do you allow trading on this planet, or is that something that needs to be done through official means?
All planets exist through trade. The trading office is on the 1st level.
Trading office 1st level. Thank you so much. That's much appreciated.
You're very welcome.
You're doing wonderful work.
Credentials, please.
Sure. She flicks it around. Here I am. I'm Cara Alaska. I have no rank. I'm the lowest of the low. I'm a vlogger, an artist.
There's a long pause while he seems to stare at it and you. Can you all of you actually, including Agnar, even though he's gone through the door, can you roll a streetwise check for me, please, with intellect?
Yes.
Sorry, I was just busy taking many a notes.
Many and many.
It is the season of notes.
It is the
so
note
I've been
season.
made
It's
aware.
quite excited by the season of notes. It's a 5 for Soraya and a 9 in total for Cara.
Streetwise with intellect for Agnar. Agnar rolled a 12, but it's -3.
Okay.
Let's switch up those dice because I don't want. And Stefan rolled a 7, which is going to be a +2. 9.
Okay. A feast of nines, in fact. Yes.
So many 9s.
All the 9s.
While you couldn't by any means guarantee this, it seems more than likely that one of the reasons for the long pause is that the person has switched off their voice and is communicating with someone else while they examine the credentials. They may be having a conversation about the name, getting it run through a database, something like that.
And that's not something they did with Agnar's.
No, they would have done that. That long pause would have
yeah.
happened. But it's possible they're just slow readers.
Yep, got you.
There's something about the voice that makes it sound like it isn't. It's a real voice, but it's being produced by a speaker. You're not hearing it through the mask. You're not hearing the original voice at all. It's amplified. So if they switched to a different channel, you wouldn't hear them speak.
Got you. Cara feels a little bit sweat down her back.
Eventually, he hands it back and says, "Welcome to Darkmoon, Miss Lasker."
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. She smiles. She takes her credentials and strolls to the door to Agnar.
Johnny is looking a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I bet he is.
but steps up and without being prompted, slightly shaking hand, holds out his credentials, and the person that who receives them stares at them again, and there's a very, very long pause, and then he hands it back and says, pretty expressionless voice, "Welcome to Darkmoon, Mr. Cress." And Johnny sort of almost like bows in his excitement and sprints past through the door.
What's Zoe's? As everyone's been checked, what's Zoe's sort of expression at the minute?
Well, Zoe will go next unless Soraya and Stefan go ahead of her.
Does she seem happy to do that? From what Soraya,
she seems like she always is. Not a lot of tension visible on her, but she isn't really somebody who seems to be all that stressed most of the time. She doesn't suffer from it. She's a carrier.
Yes.
And so she walks up fairly confident and hands over her credentials. And once again, there's a very, very long pause. And then the guard says, "Nice to have you with us, Miss Farmer," and hands her credentials back. And she gives a little nod and steps through the door without looking back.
Stefan will walk up, unless Soraya's eager.
No, she's certainly not eager.
Pull out his device, hand it over.
Okay. The person looks at it, and again, there's a long delay, perhaps a little longer than for anybody else. But eventually hands it back and says, "Thank you, Mr. Miller," and then sort of just inclines his head slightly towards the door.
You're welcome. And move in that direction.
Soraya will sort of look around, sort of as if there's anyone left in the party that's behind her, and there's not.
Nope, that's all you got.
So she steps forward and hands over her credentials.
This is, if anything, maybe the quickest of the checks, and very, very soon afterwards, the head snaps back up. And it's like, "Thank you, Miss Kansari. Welcome to Darkmoon."
Thank you very much. It's somewhere I've always wanted to visit in my scouting days. The city's a staggering work of art, really. What an incredible place it is.
I see.
Anyway, keep up the good work. We'll no doubt we'll see you on our way back to the ship as we leave.
He doesn't respond.
She sort of gives an awkward nod to them both, and then just scurries off to the others.
The other side of the door is a fairly long corridor. And have you all been waiting for the last member of the party to come through?
Probably the easiest as far as storytelling goes, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, when you come through, Zoe gives a quick glance around the corridor and then makes a quick move as if she's covering her mouth for a second, but it looks like she might be just drying her lips,
Mm-hmm.
like that. But you know her well enough now to know that she's saying, "Don't say anything. There might be microphones here."
Well, I think we'd better get to the permit office so that we can do everything properly.
Quite right. The group moves along the corridor. When you get to the other end, it lets out into what should obviously be quite a busy concourse. It's certainly built to allow it to be busy. And above you, through a quite elegantly designed transparent ceiling, you can see the planet below, or literally above you. This ring has a line of desks. All of them are manned all the way around, and you can see a significant portion of that arc from where you are. But it appears that yours is the only active passageway. Everyone else is just sitting almost at attention, waiting. But in front of you, the person is beckoning people onwards. It looks like it's built for much more traffic than it's actually currently dealing with.
Other desks all manned that suggest that they would expect more traffic, or does it have that sense that maybe it had the traffic 15 years ago and, slowly the edge ones have been closed down and things like that?
I mean, you can't really tell, but if you were guessing, the desks are manned because there's a rule that the desks are manned.
Got it. some sense.
And as you get to the front, this time you're all waved up as a group.
Kara pokes Agnar forwards.
Oh, ow. Don't. What you poke me with?
Oh.
No, don't. Not like that. I was going to say something else, but then I realised it's probably a bad idea to joke about it. And
I can
Agnar
guess.
will walk forwards.
Good morning.
Towards the desk. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I am well. I hope you've had a pleasant trip.
Yes. Yeah, very pleasant actually. It flew by quite quickly.
Excellent. 1 second, just waiting for the results on the scan. Okay. The scanners you walk through in the corridor appear to have cleared you of any contraband, and you are not carrying any contagious diseases that are not
That's good to know.
pretty instantly treatable.
They must have the BAS tests.
He glances sort of left and right, and then he says, Mr. Kress, your copper levels are a little low. You might want to take a supplement. And then turns back to the rest of you and says, so, which areas are you visiting?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, we are interested in visiting the trading office. We're also we're sort of the advanced party for a somewhat larger ship. So, wait, hold on, Kara, do we need anything for them? They'll be all right this far, won't they?
Yeah, they're fine. We're just we're the advanced party, making sure this is a place that a very important expedition can dock and get what they need.
Yes, that's the one. So any potential offices that may be of value to us in arranging such a situation for a much larger vessel.
I'm sure level 1 will suffice. And without even any sort of hint of conversation, taps a control, and all of you feel a little bleep on your communicators as you are authorized for level 1 of the Darkmoon City.
Can I just ask how many levels there are in total?
Darkmoon City contains 1,000 levels.
Right. That's more than I was expecting. Wow.
One's at the top, right? I'm not a big fan of depths.
1 is the surface level, yes.
Ah, phew, that's a relief.
The top 100 levels under normal operation are above the surface of the water.
Fantastic.
Wait, normal operation? Do you mean for the station or normal operation for the climate?
For the city. Sometimes the city is lower in the water, but normally the top 100 levels are above the surface.
Yeah.
I assume that we'll be able to find places to rest, eat, drink, restock things that we need, all on level 1 while we're here.
Naturally, I assume you have such facilities on your ship.
We certainly have a collection of drinks as needed, yes. We are short on cheesy balls, though. Is there anywhere to buy food on level 1? It's not a deal breaker, of course.
Visitors are not permitted to purchase food.
Okay, that's good to know. And Soraya sort of mouths to Stefan with a look of fear in her eyes. No brunch.
don't think there's any Tims either.
No Tims?
Doesn't look like it.
Why are we here?
It wasn't my idea. Wait, it wasn't, was it?
Is it your idea?
No, I don't know. I hope not. This doesn't seem like it would be my idea.
This better be worth it.
Mm.
Oh, man. Come all the way for a flutter. Oh. Agnar, do something.
Yes, of course. Right, no purchasing of food or drink. Are there any other rules that we need to be aware of? Top three rules that tourists break without realizing it.
Oh, good.
Tourists do not break rules here because the rules are all clearly marked and posted. However,
that is good.
Misconceptions. Darkmoon City does not have any crime of any note.
Is that a misconception?
People often think that they will find criminal activity anywhere they go. Darkmoon City does not have a criminal element.
That's good.
People often believe they will be able to secure accommodation, food, and drink. Other than water, which is, of course, freely available, Darkmoon City only provides food and accommodation in exchange for labor delivered on the planet.
Mm.
And number 3, some people arrive with the misconception that Darkmoon, the planet, is harboring some form of rebel uprising element. I can assure you that is not true. There is no civil war, no violence, and no outbreak of threat. You are completely safe here.
That is good. I'd hate there to be any form of civil war or violence. This is very rare for a place like that to have no such thing at all. You should be very proud of what you're achieving here.
We are very proud of Darkmoon. It is an exemplary contributor to the imperial economy.
Is what would, if I may be so bold, and please stop me if I'm being too bold. Does Darkmoon have a prime export, something that it's well known for sending off to the rest of the Imperium? Apart from Law and Order, of course.
One item in particular is the principal, or arguably even sole, significant export of Darkmoon, a product called cadmos, a high-density polysaccharide sugar. It is extracted from a form of kelp that is harvested from the oceans, and when the cadmos is extracted, the remainder of the kelp is turned into food as a particularly ecologically viable way of feeding the population. And the cadmos is exported for refining. Cadmos in particular is used for the creation of complex polymers, plastics, explosives, sometimes medical elements, and various forms of food stuff, and even fuels.
Wow, it's really handy, this cadmos. How do you spell it, by the way? It's important.
Kadmose.
Kadmose. Cadmos. Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it, Agnar? Cadmos.
Yes, it certainly does. It certainly does.
Oh, what an important planet this planet is. And there's definitely no rebel uprising or violence, which is excellent.
Whatever you may have heard, there is none.
That is fantastic. Of course, we only go to level 1, so it's a shame to only scratch the surface. I assume there's no reason for us to require a permit to go any lower.
All of the offices that you would likely need to visit are on level 1, but should you need to go lower, there is a permit office on level 1 that can extend your permit as required. If you need access, for example, to the ship decks on level 100, then they can arrange that for you. But I can't imagine you would need to visit them. The only other thing I need to tell you, of course, is that your permit is valid until 1800 this evening, at which point the curfew is imposed at Darkmoon, and anybody who does not have a place to stay must leave immediately. Anyone found moving about after 1800 will be placed under arrest.
Not that we intend to, of course. We intend to be happily back at our ship to sleep the night away. A planet like this clearly takes law and order seriously. What is the punishment for breaking such a serious crime like curfew?
In general, punishments issued on Darkmoon are in the form of indentures.
Ah, yeah, that makes some sense. How much time for breaking a curfew would you say?
For a first offence, probably no more than a month.
1 month. Okay, that's useful to know. Thank you. But I assume people that become indentured love working here so much and love the lack of crime that they choose to stay longer afterwards.
I think it's fair to say that depends on the person. Some seem eager to complete their indenture and leave. Others seem to choose to stay.
Agnar, do you have anything else? You're a wise man. You always have the right words, the right ways.
Yes. Well, actually, one last
One more thing.
hopefully quick question. One more thing, if you don't mind. Copper supplements for our friend here. Is there anywhere we can source those on station?
What kind of item?
The supplements for Mr. Cress.
I suspect that might be found in the habitation levels where the feeding takes place, but for that, your permit would need to extend you beyond level 100.
Ah.
At the moment, the readout doesn't appear to imply that he's in any immediate physical danger, but obviously I don't have access to his personal medical records. Does Mr. Cress potentially suffer from an acute deficiency in copper?
I would very much imagine so.
You can see Johnny sort of nodding along, but looking completely baffled as to what's going on. Then in that case, I will extend your permit down to level 101. You may visit level 101, the top level of the accommodation blocks, where such items as food and food supplements are available. I can't authorize you to actually receive any such things, you understand, but you may be able to find someone who will be able to authorize it.
That's very kind. Thank you. We shall investigate. Anything else, Cara? Is that?
No, you've been incredibly helpful. Thank you, and thank you for enabling us to look out for our friends. And 6 o'clock, you say? Does it take long to travel between the levels? Like, what time would we need to say we're in level 101? What time would you suggest leaving to make sure we're back safely at 6 o'clock? 1800.
All of the main levels have accesses to the shuttle network, and shuttles are perpetually available to move you off surface as needed. As long as you can find a shuttle docked, which shouldn't be difficult on any level. You can move from level to level. Within the city, the same shuttles that bring you to and from the orbiting station here are also the only method for moving from one level to the next.
Okay.
And any shuttle that can move you from one level to the next can also move you up to the station.
So do we need to be back here by 6, or do we need to be on a shuttle by 6?
You have to be off the public areas and concourse. So on a shuttle is perfectly acceptable.
Wonderful. That's helpful. Thank you very much. We wouldn't want to make a mistake by accident. It's good to know, isn't it, Agnar? I feel like things are very clear. I feel we know our place very well.
Yes, we do well. We certainly do now that we've been informed of such. Thank you very much for your help.
Yeah. What time is it right now, by the way, locally?
Curfew lifted 3 hours and 15 minutes ago. It is currently 09:15 hours.
15. Wonderful. Thank you very much. And this and this permit is just for today. If we need permit again, we need to come and reapply tomorrow if we're still here.
No, your permit will be valid until you leave system.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. That's a good system, I feel. That makes a lot of sense.
We will disable it when you get clearance to disembark and to leave in your ship.
Wonderful. Thank you. You've been wonderful. Do you have a name at all before we leave? Names are very important to us as a crew.
Guardians are not permitted to reveal their names, their serial numbers, or any other form of personal identification. Additionally, our voices are recorded and played back in a digital form in order to disguise any personal identification features.
Just like mine. Okay. Shall we go? Should we get on board a shuttle and have a mooch? I assume mooching's allowed.
Not explicitly.
I'll make sure I read up on the rule book before I mooch. Come on, now lead on. I'm enjoying your hips. This new walk of yours.
It's not new. I do it all the time.
But
I appreciate the fact you like it. And
I think it's because you're not in armor. You seem more expressive and free.
That is true. That is very true. It's quite nice. I'll be honest. It's not often that it happens, but it's quite pleasant. And he'll wander off with a little spring in his step and a swoosh in his tail.
Okay. Beyond the desk, there is a space, and beyond that, there are a number of airlocks leading to small, pretty basic Imperial shuttlecraft, of a type you'll have seen 1,000 times and more in the past. They all seem to be basically identical, and they all have straightforward numbers painted on them with no other markings.
Shall we?
Sure. Where would you like to go? What floor would you like for the first stop? We've got 101 to choose from.
Is that right?
I want to see all of them.
I was under the impression that we had number 1 and we have number 101.
No, your
permits, all the way.
Your permits permit you to use anywhere between 1 and 101.
Pick a number.
Is that true, Carl?
That's exciting. Pick a number. What's your lucky number, Ragnar?
My lucky number is 51.
Maybe pick the number of days that you're actually a real general for in the military. Oh, there's no 40.
Whoa.
Sorry, it's a low blow. A low blow.
That is a low blow. I can tell you one thing for sure. It's a good job that low blows and sarcasm aren't illegal here, because otherwise you'd have years of time that you'd be serving right now. Between the conversation with that poor person at the desk and the low blows that you keep dealing. 51. is my lucky number.
Oh, I like 51. Sounds good. Stefan, why did you choose that dressing gown? By the way, I've been meaning to ask you since we got off the ship. What was it about it that you liked to choose that one? You've got so many.
What you mean when I bought it, or when I decided to wear it today?
Yeah,
Yeah, which one?
the one you're wearing right now. Why are you wearing it today?
Yeah. No, why am I wearing it today? Well, I don't know. To be honest, I mean, it was one of the clean ones, which always helps. And feel it. It's quite soft.
Oh, it is quite
It's
soft.
comforting. I felt as though I needed
It's quite
something
comforting.
for this sort of place. To be honest,
It's beautiful.
you know, you want to feel as though you're being hugged by a big soft dressing gown.
A very
when
bright, soft dressing gown.
everything is illegal.
Very.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's my favourite colour.
It is. It's brave though.
Well,
You pull it off though.
no, don't pull it off. I'm sure that's illegal here. Can't just wander around with no dressing gown on. I will get in so much trouble. Right. Where are we going? What's the plan?
Agnar says something about level 51. It's better than level 42. I didn't want to go to level 42.
That's true.
Too funky on that level, I've heard.
It's the obvious choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're aiming for 51 or somewhere else?
51, Agnar?
Yeah, well, I don't mind. I'm happy to do whatever as long as we're back here by 6 o'clock. But you did ask me what my lucky number was. So
we could do that, and then it might be useful. Look, poor old Johnny looks like he's on his last legs. We might need to go to level 101 as well at some point. Level 100 sounds interesting. We've got so many stops, but let's work our way down. You know, let's start near the top and work down. I like level 51. Sounds perfect. Feels like an area to me, a real area to visit.
Ben, a permit that pinged through to our device. Does it tell us what's on each of the levels?
No, it just identifies the limits of your permitted movement. It isn't also a sort of tourist guide.
Okay, that's fine.
Doesn't strike me as a very touristy place.
No. But you know, it's a question worth asking. I feel, just in case. Right, let's go then onto the shuttle. A shuttle.
There are a number to choose from, but they're all functionally identical.
What do you reckon, Cara? Which one should we choose? What's your lucky number?
51.
Oh, I don't think there's that.
Don't you remember? That's how we became friends after that big discussion back in the day.
No, you're just mocking me. That's how we became friends, really.
Shuttle number 4041 is available if you want one that ends in a 1.
It starts on a 4 as well. Perfect.
If you're happy with that.
Yep.
Okay. So you march aboard shuttle 4041 and are immediately met at the door to the shuttle by another faceless guardian who asks to see your permits, which you now have. And after carefully checking everyone's permits match, he then says, which level?
Level 51, if we may.
51. Take seats and secure yourselves carefully. The journey can be bumpy.
Oh, Agnar will take a seat. What's the nature of the bumpy journey? Why is I'm not complaining. I'm just curious to learn more about.
I'm not complaining.
It's
To
the
learn
first
more.
time you actually hear anything other than flat speech. You actually hear what must be the voice's attempt to replicate a short laugh. And he says, "You'll see."
Oh,
And
that's not concerning.
and the doors slide shut and the shuttle disembarks and it tilts up down towards the planet and accelerates towards what appears to be the largest hurricane you guys have ever seen in your life. And that's where we'll take our break.
Oh,
Very nice. I feel oppressed. You're doing a good job, Ben.
exactly.
Well, I think it's important that every world that you visit feels like a different place, don't you?
Certainly
Yes,
feels
yes,
like
yes, yes.
something.
And this definitely does. I mean, they all do, to be fair. But this certainly does feel very different. It's
Right.
exciting.
Let's take it. I'm going to load up the break. Let's do a 5-minute. Come back in
Yep.
another half hour or so, Ben.
Yep, that sounds perfect.
Wonderful. Right, now I've got to find the break screen now. Right, you go away. You go away. You go away. You go away. You go on. That should be music. That should be the break. We can go away now. We'll be back.
Toast.
Ben!
It's time to recount another of the stories I was once told by our former ship's steward. I can't verify the accuracy of these stories. After all, he once told me he invented archery. Once, he told me, he found himself on a world where dangerous storms plagued the area.
Ooh.
Fast, powerful cyclones could appear suddenly, destroy whole areas of towns, and disappear as quickly as they came. He joined a team of scientists trying to learn more about the way these storms formed, as their cook, of course. They had a plan to allow the storm to pick up a large number of tiny drones, which would then spiral through the whole cyclone, mapping the temperature, pressure, humidity, and whatever else meteorologists thought was important. It's hard to imagine, I know, because no real science involves wrapping a strip of paper around a crystal ball. Their experiment was a failure, of course, until our hero saved the day by use of the power of stewarding. He knew exactly what size and shape of dried pasta, if stuck to the drones, would catch the wind perfectly and allow them to capture their vital information. In his absence, we often miss the many ways in which a perfectly fried egg or a perfectly baked pie can save a whole planet. Imagine how many civilizations might have been saved if he hadn't died in a firefight so young. In honor of his memory and the memory of the Zalton peoples of Jurkamila, their civilization wiped out for lack of a perfectly balanced cheese and tomato sandwich, we raise a glass and drink to the late, great Greyhill Bast.
To the late great Greyhill Bast.
The late great Greyhill Bast.
Oh, wow, Ben. That was a lot of pressure on us for having been responsible, so partly responsible for his death, and as such, the downfall of many a civilization.
Well, we will never know how many.
Oh,
We will never know how many
It's the best.
civilizations might have been saved.
I don't like to think about it.
And maybe it is what they need on Darkmoon, after all.
Pie.
So, the shuttle continues to descend. It's flying rapidly. And the reason for that becomes pretty clear. You're going to want to hit this storm with your engines full on. When it enters the top of the atmosphere, the storm is very weak, but as the air gets denser and denser, it becomes more and more powerful. And the buffeting is like nothing you felt in a long time. It's intense. It's like being on a glider flying over a forest fire. It is really bouncing you around in your seat. The reason to strap in carefully was very good advice. And the storm seems to go all the way down almost to the surface of the water. You know, it's tearing up huge waves which are splashing against the sides of the city. And even though the city is enormous, the waves look pretty potent next to it, splashing almost up to the top deck level. Those waves must be rising well over 100 meters when they actually hit the side of the city. From this angle, you can clearly see the three enormously thick cables that run off the top of the city's surface and out over a short sort of span of the edge of the ice flow of the South Polar Cap, and then they stretch onwards over deep into the ice before being anchored with massive, massive sort of anchoring points in the ice, which must go down thousands of meters in order to make them stable enough to hold such a vast structure. Those cables themselves must be tens of meters thick. They are extremely impressive feats of engineering, even on such a scale next to a city like that. And the shuttle continues to aim down at absolutely astonishing pace until it dips into the open mouth of the cone, at which point you pass at that level a whole series of things shaped like baffles that stand proud from the upper surface, which seem to work to block winds. And as you enter, you are suddenly becalmed, and the ride, with a final sort of vibration, a sort of firm vibrate, the ride smooths out, and the shuttle begins to slow down quite sharply before it's steered into a docking bay on the inside of that cone. The scale around you is enormous. At level 51, the width of the hole in the city completely dwarfs the shuttle, and there's room for dozens and dozens to easily maneuver simultaneously at this level. And you move in and arrive at a docking port, which clearly has level 51 marked on it, and there's a solid sounding clonk as you seal into position.
Good clonk.
And after a moment, the Guardian with you unstraps his own seatbelt, stands as if he does this all the time, which he probably does, strides confidently over to the lock and pops it open. Level 51.
Thank you. It's beautifully done. We appreciate your piloting. Come, friends, let us go and explore.
Okay. You step out onto what is a fairly broad concourse. You could imagine that this might run all the way around the level. And there's a hint that it actually has a bit of a curve in it. If you look in both directions, you can see it's a bit curved. But the size of the ring is so much that it's a fairly subtle thing. You encounter, doors and crates and people moving around before you can really see a straight line long enough to be certain. But it's probably a circular passageway that runs the entire ring around this level.
Well, which way? Oh.
I don't know. Which way's your lucky way? It's working for us so far. Do you tend to? Would you say you naturally slide to the left or to the right?
Let's go with left.
You see Sarai nod sagely at you from further back in the group at your choice of direction.
Okay.
It is the scouting way.
Where's the scouting way?
As you start to walk around the passageway, you notice that there are various digital screens on the walls of the passageway. They keep showing the same two sort of slogans over and over again, both of which are signed seemingly by Governor Ormel Helinsky. Ormel.
No, you don't need to write that
Ormel.
down.
Mel, yeah.
Holinsky, Holinsky.
Ormel Helinsky. Just need a name. So I'm standing over the right person with a knife in my hand later. Ormel Helinsky.
The paper knife.
I didn't say that out loud. Say that out loud.
they seem to randomly cycle back and forth between two messages. One says, obey the law, avoid punishment. And the other says, work hard, earn levels.
Ooh. Work hard. Earn levels. Oh, don't you look? You're ticking all the boxes, mate. It's like this is like the platform. This is like high rise. Don't excite me with all these things. Honestly.
The corridor is reasonably busy. There are people moving around. A lot of them are moving large cases on sort of mobile hovering pallet devices. But there are others just walking from place to place. Some are looking at electronic tablets as they go. Some are just on their way from place to place.
Are these people uniformed or like in some kind of work gear?
They're not uniformly dressed, but the clothing suggests overalls. Yes. There seems to be a variation in color, in styling. Some have customized them a bit, you know.
Are we in a place where no guard is directly looking at us that we can tell at this point?
You can't spot a guardian on this level, no.
So a guardian could. Cara would like to do something. Can she check her device to see if there's sort of something running in it that could check what we were right between us in the device, or if we've still got some sort of private channel that we could use? Because she's got that paranoia.
You want to find out if you can have private communications?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yes, I don't see why not. Can you make an electronics communications roll for me, please, with your intellect?
Yes, I can do that. Electronic communications is 2.
And this is a hacking thing, so you can use your deck if you'd like.
Wonderful. So that's 3
so plus 1.
So it's 5 plus 5. This is her best thing she can do. But apart from draw pictures of people. Should be okay. That's a 7 plus a 5 is 12.
Okay. Can you roll 1d6 for me, please?
Yeah, 4.
Okay. The others run a bit of interference for you, sort of mooching about a bit while you do this and making sure you're not obviously observed. And after a few minutes, you are able to confirm not only that your existing communication system will be far too sophisticated for them to spy on directly, but also that the computer system, the network here, is potentially hackable. It's something you could attack if you needed to.
If you needed to, Luke.
We don't need to because everything's good here. There's no crime. There's no civil wars. There's no violence. There's no uprising.
No.
Why would I need to hack such a thing? Everything's groovy, I've been told.
Good.
No brunch, though. In fact, the first thing she does when she realises it is to start a little group chat with the 6 of them. And in big bold letters, we type in "no brunch!" !
There is a sort of smiling emoji from Johnny, who then after it says "no food!" !
This is very true.
Sarai will message saying, how's the lack of copper working out for you?
I'll soldier on. You get back.
Level 101 sounds interesting. Sounds like it would normally be off limits.
Zoe responds, agreed. 100 for the boats, 101 for excitement, and 1 to actually do what we came here for.
51 because it's Agnar's lucky number.
And she responds, well, while we're here, ...
Hey, lollygaggers, thank you for joining us. How was the stream? I hope everything went really well. No deaths, I hope, unless meant. Mela, you guys are good. We've just entered into a dystopian hellhole. I'm blaming someone, not myself.
It's never your fault.
It's never my fault.
It's never your fault.
Never my fault. It's the place I wanted to go, but I had to make sure that Ewan was the one that said it. For plausible deniability.
Yeah. Important thing.
Yeah, we're on
Certainly
a planet
on the Baltic Star.
We're on a planet where brunch is banned. It's not great. It's not great. It's not been a good start.
Mm-hmm.
We're making do.
No brunch, no Tims.
Yeah, no Tims. Yeah, they. It's like you're purposefully doing it to destroy all our fun.
It's almost like there's not even going to be a mimosa.
That's the next thing I have been worried about.
Lots of water though.
Oh, plenty of water. That's almost a mimosa.
Yeah.
In fact, Sarai will message it and say, if I close my eyes and drink water, maybe I can trick myself into thinking it's a mimosa? ?
Potentially.
Oh, still, at least we don't have to stay here. We can always get back to the Baltic Star whenever we want. It seems that we can, as long as we behave, we've got freedom to come and go as we want, as and when we want, up until 6 p.m.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The Kara gives her she puts on a little sneaky winking emoji, and she said, Soraya, did you notice that they said the Cadmos is good for explosives? And in real life, gives her half a wink and gives half a wink at Agnar as well.
I'm not sure that's the best idea, if I'm honest.
If nothing else, I wonder if they'd trade.
I would imagine it's probably highly regulated, maybe.
You're highly regulated.
Thanks. I've been working on it. It's nice of you to notice.
Has anyone else noticed his special new walk, by the way?
It's not new. I told you, I do it all the time. It's just you can't see because normally my tail is not quite so out in the open.
Normally combat armor.
What do you want to do down here, Agnar? Just catch a lie of the land before we either do what we're here to do or have a nose?
Well, I didn't want to do anything down here. You asked me what my lucky number was. I told you it was 51. Same as yours.
Yeah, it's true. Funny that.
And as such, here we are.
Here we are. Well, should we do a lap? We can always do a lap. It won't take long to do a lap. Let's do a lap.
Do you think so?
Should we do a lap?
Let's give it a go and see how far we get before 6 o'clock.
Sure. It's not that big a place. We've got like 9 hours. We'll be fine. Let's have a lap and see where we go. Yeah. Come on, feed on.
Okay.
I'm never walking in front of you again while the tail's out.
you know.
Left. What do you mean left, right? Left, right? Are you telling us
Left,
how
right.
to march
Yeah,
now?
no,
Are you?
I'm teaching you.
We're
Well,
not-
precisely. I'm well equipped to teach people such as, well, maybe not such as yourself, but you know, regular people how to march. And Agnar will march off, still swooshing the tail behind him.
Okay.
Leftwards, please.
Fair enough.
Port. We'll head to the port side of the whatever this is.
Yep. At level 51, the circumference of this corridor would come out at around about 20,000 meters.
Okay, that's only 20 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we Agnar gets about 20 meters down, and Kara looks at the others. Oh dear, I think I've overestimated how far we can go. Should we tell him or just leave him to do the lap himself? He looks keen. Agnar, come back. Do you really think we're going to do 20k?
What? No.
It's a long. It looks a long way. Should we just
No, that's what I said.
Let's have a mooch. Let's see what's on. Let's set a time limit on this level. How long should we spend before we go off? God, what do you want to do?
Well, we've got 100 levels.
Right, we're not stopping at every level, right?
How many hours have we got? Well, I was just going to divide it up equally between
About 8 and a bit. But we can come back every day. It's gonna take, refueling will take a day or two, probably.
You want to spend a few days here?
Well, if you want to do 100 levels and they're 20 kilometers each level.
No, maybe not. I've changed my mind. Let's should we give it an hour?
Yeah, that sounds
20
good.
minutes.
Yeah. Which one? let's go 40.
I don't know.
You bored already? It's not very inspiring, is it? I do suddenly feel the urge to work hard so I can earn some levels, though. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean that is true, both true and interesting. I'm not sure what we'd do with additional levels. I mean, I guess maybe we'd be allowed food and somewhere to sleep.
Well, that's it. Do people earn levels down or up? Like, who wants to be 1,000 levels below ground? But maybe it's who knows what's good, up or down. 101 would tell us, I guess. We'd get a vibe of 101.
Yeah, that is true.
Whether it's the bottom of the bottom or the top of the top. Well, come on, we're here now. Lead on. Let's spend 20-30 minutes on this level and see what's what, and then we'll choose where we're going next.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I need my legs to stretch anyway.
All right. So as you walk for just a little while around this level 51 corridor, what you essentially see is that on the outside of the curve, there are a series of industrial-looking doors. Every now and then, people come and go through them, usually moving these cases of whatever it is. Those doors are fairly sturdy, and once or twice you walk past one while it's open, and what seems to be through there is industrial machinery, essentially. Machines and people working machines. The equivalent doors on the opposite side of the corridor, the inside of the ring, lead through to warehouses and storage locations, and they have where you catch a glimpse through one of it, existing. When the doors open, you can see that the back of these fairly large warehouse rooms end with airlocks.
Which would suggest to be picked up and shipped off, I guess. Hmm. Um, I know you said that they're wearing sort of different colours. You know, they're not in an altogether uniform or anything like that.
Hmm.
But does there seem to be anything that marks out a difference between indentured and not indentured in any way?
Can you roll a streetwise for me, please, with intellect?
Let me give it a go. It's about my 47 of tonight. That 7 with a +2 is 9. Just makes sense
Okay.
to roll a lot of 7s. That's how dice work.
It is indeed. Certainly 2d6.
Certainly 2d6.
It's there are definitely some people who have much greater variety in their clothing. Some of them have custom dyed them. Some of them have customized them by changing the cut slightly. But there are also people who seem to be wearing pretty much identical, very pale grey work clothes. And as you look at them, it seems that they, unlike the ones with the custom overalls, have an individual number on the breast of their work clothes.
Looks like these are the naughty ones, Agnew.
Oh, you think they're what's the word? You think they're doing time?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think they did? Too much sarcasm.
Too much sassy walking. You've got to be careful. Bring those hips back in line.
Well,
could you imagine spending all your time?
They are criminal. It's true.
And there's no time for criminality, of course, is there? Cara says a bit loudly, looking around for microphones. Luckily, Darkmoon has no crime, so I feel safe here.
Crime free.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
I could think of nothing more soul destroying than you know you're doing good work, but to be on this level, in this light for a month or more, and this is your work. Again, they're doing very good work, very honest work, and I'm sure they're getting a lot out of it, but it would be tough to start with, huh?
As you're sort of having this conversation, a couple of the workers in the pale grey numbered outfits move their way past you, pushing these fairly large crates from one part of a corridor to the other along a part of its length. And as they do, they're sort of glancing at each other a little bit, but not communicating. They're just glancing across at each other. Possibly raising an eyebrow at the clearly identifiable off-worlders who they don't see that very often.
Do you think we stick out a bit?
A little bit, not just the tail.
I was going to say your tail's sticking. Excuse me, are they men or ladies, or can we tell from the...
One of each.
Excuse me, my good sir and madam. Do you have a brief moment? I don't want to stop you from your important work for too long.
Can we help?
Yes, we're just here on business, I suppose. We're just wondering. We've ended up on floor 51. We pick one at random. Is every floor between 2 and 99 the same?
Pretty much. Yeah. Some of them do the extraction of the cadmos, and then some do the pre-processing of the extracted cadmos, and of course, well, some make the vort.
The Vort.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
Vort?
the vort.
What's the Vort?
The vort is a kind of paste, chewier than that you get if you start with kelp and extract all the sugar from it.
Oh, sounds interesting. An acquired taste.
Yeah, I'm hoping to acquire that one day.
Um, I've seen these signposts everywhere. They're hard to miss, of course.
Hmm.
About levels. Is that something that the workers here can move up or down depending on the work you do?
Yeah, the most of the workers, not us, of course, but most of the workers, they uh, they can earn the right to a higher level, which is a hell of a lot safer.
Does higher mean higher number, i.e., Karasot points downwards?
Higher means higher above the pit.
No. The pit sounds ominous.
Yeah, well, it's where we live.
Oh, right down the bottom. Must be quite
Right
narrow.
down the bottom.
Must be dark and narrow down there.
Well, they have lights.
How long have you been there, if I may ask?
Me, 11 years.
How much longer do you need to be down there?
Well, let me think. I was sentenced to 22, but I think they've added a few since then, so maybe another 15.
What would they add it for?
Uh, you have to hit your quota.
Oh man.
They originally put me on the Bathy, and, well, I didn't do well in that kind of environment. So if you don't do your part, they make you move this crap around, and it'll, well, most workers, it would cost you some levels, because the people who ride the Bathy, they tend to be up higher. But for us, we were never getting out of the pit.
Do you think you're here for good? Or do you hold a dream?
I don't know. I just take it one day at a time.
I guess you rarely see outsiders around there.
Uh, Rarely, yeah. You're the first ones in a year or two.
We've got a pass to get to level 101 for our friend. We need some help for him. They gave him a pass for that. Is that? I assume that's not a floor that you've been to.
To one?
101.
Oh, 101. You talk about a dream. From what I'm told, it's much like the other accommodation levels, but I've never seen it.
Is there, as outsiders not wanting to get into trouble, is there anything you could suggest to us to not say, not look, to ways to behave, people to
Can
not
you
mess with?
roll a persuade for me, please? This is going to be a tough check. You can add your choice of intellect or social, but it's going to be a hard one.
Intellect, please. That's a +2 on my persuade and a +2 on intellect. Maybe not. So 7 plus 4 is 11.
He shakes his head immediately and says, just don't break the law, or you'll be living on level 101.
Well, thank you. I don't want to delay you any longer in case you end up with more time getting added. But you've been really helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Is
If
there
I were
anything-
you, I wouldn't stick around longer than you have to.
Is there anything we can do for you while you're here? Are we able to provide you with anything, or is all that frowned upon?
What more could we possibly need than some food and some sleep?
The dream.
And they shuffle off to continue their walk.
I don't like level 51, Agner.
Are you thinking this is a bad choice?
I've got a feeling all the levels might be a bad choice.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly anything, I guess, beyond one, maybe. Maybe that's why we only had one to begin with. That's the tourist friendly level.
The acceptable face of the place.
Yeah. The zero crime.
But there is no crime on here.
Well, exactly.
The thing is, they were open to let us go on these floors. They didn't limit us. So they're obviously either it's to put the fear into us to not mess around, or they're just perfectly happy in what showing us what they do. They're not ashamed of it. It's the law of the planet, I guess.
Yeah. It's their rules. Right? Makes sense. What do you want to do? You fed up of 51? Do you want to move?
Yeah. It's whether you fancy doing doing our bit for the mission, having a look at some ships, or having a mooch on 101. What do you fancy?
I'm going to be honest. I think the longer we stay here, the more of a toll it will have on your sensitive picking up of other people's plights. Maybe we should get the mission sorted, and then in theory we can leave anytime we want.
Get the job done and then see how we feel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, get the job done and then we can stay as long as we want or not.
You're very wise sometimes. Must be your old age.
Every now and then. It's the walk. The walk helps with the wires.
This is true. They go hand in hand.
Yeah. Or foot in foot. More accurately. Trading? Is that the best thing?
Well, it sounds like level 1 is where you want to go.
That is where we were told that we would be able to do everything that we needed to do. In theory.
And having seen a peek behind the curtain, I'd be quite interested to see what's in front of it.
Fair point.
The facade.
Back up to floor 1.
Okay.
Floor 1. Are we going the long way around, or are we going the short way back, Cara?
Whichever. There's shuttles everywhere, mate. That's fine. Whichever one's closest.
Yeah,
Let's get on.
Good call.
Essentially, you've already seen this more than once as you've walked a little way along the corridor. While most of the inside of the corridor leads to these warehouse type rooms, some of them are just open corridors coming off the main one, which lead to airlocks for moving people around. And those do have um, shuttle ports at the end of them, just like the warehouses do. Though the shuttles may be of a different design to accommodate passengers rather than goods, perhaps. Um, the You can walk to literally any of those along the corridor. They all seem to be much of a muchness.
Pick your lucky one, Agnes.
That one.
Okay. You walk down, and the corridor, because it has to cover the width of one of those warehouses or warehouse rooms, is reasonably long. And it is long enough, in fact, that by the time you get to the other end, a shuttle is literally docking, waiting for you. It arrives in order to meet your requirement. And the airlock is opened by a guardian, as you'd expect. Permits, please.
I'll hand over his device. There we are.
He examines everybody's, Mr. Arnson, Miss Farmer, Kansari, and so on. Lets you all on and says, which level?
Level 1, please.
Level 1. Closes the door, and a moment later, the shuttle disconnects from the ring at level 51 and begins rapidly to climb up. It feels a little bit less oppressive as you climb because the space is getting bigger inside. It gets a bit wider, and also, of course, you're seeing much closer to the surface, much closer to the sky. And when you get up there, he turns around and docks against the inside of the ring again, but this time just below the lip, where the top surface of the city is. And the door opens. He says, "Level 1," and that's where we'll call it for tonight.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, what a hellhole you've created for us.
Well, it should be noted that it is a crimeless hellhole.
Oh, there is no crime.
Oh,
That's true. So
it's not all that bad.
maybe it looks more at me as a person than if I find no crime to be hellish.
Mm.
And there's no uprisings. That's what I like. No civil war, no violence.
Yeah. That's a thing.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for your first time comment as well. We appreciate you a lot. Thank you for joining us.
We do.
You're of course welcome back on Friday and Saturday evenings. We have a Rose's cat. Is there one ready, Ben?
Of course there is.
Wonderful.
I wouldn't leave Sparrow without a Rose's cat. So, for Rose's cat, Caboodle, life was full of adventure. The Baltic Star was a big ship, if you were the size of a kitten, and it was filled with people, sounds, smells, lights, and occasional Varga furballs that needed serious chasing. Best of all, there always seemed to be new people to meet. Cats have been bred for millennia to coexist happily with humans, and in recent centuries they've become familiar with not only humans, but a fair array of other species and human subgroups. Not all of those relationships have proven quite as carefree. For a cat, Varga seem oddly threatening, no matter how kindly they behave. If Caboodle had one complaint, and the little cat really wasn't too much of a demanding passenger generally, it was that there were times when the people on board the ship had very little time to play. It was unfathomable to Caboodle that there could be anything at all more important than playing with the cat, but seemingly there must be. Generally, Rose could always be relied upon, of course. Her duties rarely took her from the ship, where she worked as a steward, and that was mostly a fairly flexible responsibility. Of course, there were Saraya's occasional brunch emergencies, which had to be treated as life or death. From time to time, Cags would demand that something alcoholic be placed into his hand within the next 5 seconds, or he would begin singing. a threat that the whole crew took very seriously. Other than those sorts of things, though, Rose was always to be counted upon for a quick game of chase the shoelace or climb the human. Rose had just recently changed a little, though. Caboodle didn't fully understand the reason, but the young woman was more distant now. Rose would still stroke the cat, but her heart wasn't in it like before. Nobody else seemed to be affected, so Caboodle could rule out any thought that the cat was less charming, though for some reason Cag seemed to be less relaxed around her. He was easy to get back on side, though. Just leaping onto his shoulder and purring was enough to put a smile on his face. No, it was Rose who had changed. Caboodle wasn't the only one to notice. Gurg Sutter seemed to be found in quiet conversation with her more often these days. Zoe, too, was treating Rose differently and was less tense and formal in her presence. Well, if Rose's responsibility was to take care of the crew, Caboodle's job was to take care of Rose. So a plan was formulated. Late one night, after a quick visit to keep up morale on the bridge, Caboodle padded silently into Rose's cabin and leapt onto the bed. Rose was sound asleep on her back. The kitten knew exactly what to do. Climbing onto the pillow, she took a short jump and landed, splayed out, across Rose's face, covering her mouth and nose with a furry belly. Instantly Rose awoke, her eyes flying open. She sat bolt upright as the kitten tumbled down her body to land on the covers. The two mammals stared at each other for a second, and then finally Rose started to laugh and began stroking the cat. And at once it felt like the old Rose. Caboodle would keep an eye on her, of course, and if needed, she would enact her plan every night until Rose was fully back to normal. It was the least she could do. After all, Rose was Caboodle's human. There you go.
Very
Neil,
nice.
nice work. Appreciate it. Thank you, Ben.
I hope that was okay for you, Sparrow.
It's okay for us as well. Thank you, Ben, for running for us this evening. We appreciate you, of course. And thank you, dear viewers. Spares, Q, Matt, first time, thank you so much. Anyone else that's around, we appreciate you. We'll be back next Friday. Next Friday's a traveller night, and then Ewan's not around on the Saturday. Is that correct?
That is true.
That is my understanding.
Perfect. So we'll sort something out. We'll do Traveller Friday, and we'll have a discussion about Saturday, I would imagine.
Yeah, that sounds good. So we can promise you a profoundly oppressive and depressing Friday. So come along for that. It'll be great.
Good times.
After my first week back at school. Oh no!
Wow, life imitating art.
Truly. Oh, well, thanks, guys. We'll see you all soon. Hopefully, sleep well. Pleasant dreams. Don't
Yes,
do
thank you
anything
so
naughty.
much. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.